Hello, I'm Mark Long for Startup U. Today we're going to talk about an elusive topic that very few people want to discuss. Management style, management organization, people skills, human resource skills. What's the law? What's not really the law, but is good practice? You know, after you become an entrepreneur and start your company, the next thing you're going to need is, you guessed it, help. A lot of help. That's why there are incubators, accelerators, SCORE, SBDC, tons of acronyms out there for people who are willing to help you. But also eventually you're going to need employees. You know, one of my 26 immutable rules of business, which we'll get to soon, involves hiring. Do not, under any circumstances, hire friends or family to work with you. Why? Because the breakups are that much more difficult and the arguments are that much more intense. It's family. It's close friends. I know many former friends who started a business together, and you guessed it, they don't speak to each other today. So what makes a good person to hire? How do you know? How do you accrue management skills if you've never managed anyone before? Well, first, we're going to talk about general structure for a startup company. So it's you yourself and you alone running the company, and you decide it's time. You know what, Mark? It's time to grow the company. In the real sense, I need to bring on people. I need specialists in accounting, in finance, in maybe human resources, certainly in sales and marketing, maybe in distribution and logistics, and you can go on down the chain of company elements. I need more people. Typically, your average growth company out of that single entrepreneur mode has a management team. They also engage an advisory board or even a formal board of directors. And we'll talk about in a minute when you need to actually formalize that. You need access to other professionals, legal help, accounting help, maybe sales and marketing help, maybe market research help. But you'll need to engage others in your efforts to grow. But let's talk about your own key team, founder and key management personnel, those people that make up the first draft, if you will, of your company. First, there's you. Of course, you're the CEO. Never a question about that. Oh, but wait. Maybe you're not the CEO. Maybe you're the CSO, Chief Scientific Officer, or CTO, Chief Technology Officer, or some other auspicious title. I had a guy come to me a couple of weeks ago and said, I have just received a promotion. I'm the director of customer fund. I said, well, that's awesome. I hope you get a raise with it. And he said, oh, absolutely. I said, what exactly is your job? Well, we haven't really defined it yet, but I'm out to ensure that customers have fun and enjoy our products and services. Well, that's terrific. I also had another individual come to me as the director of customer love. Oh, that sounds so good. Customer love. We love our customers. Well, who doesn't? Except for those few pain in the neck that you want to get rid of as customers and maybe never see again. But in general, titles are titles, but you need a management team around you. You know, as I've told you before, and I'll say it again, I'll take a mediocre product with a great management team anytime. over a great product with a mediocre management team. It's the management that makes the money. Most times, investors invest in a management team, in a group capable of promoting growth. They don't invest in a technology. Heck, the majority of investors I talk to made their money in oil, in telecom. They know nothing about biotech or medicine or really high-tech new artificial intelligence concepts. But they do know the management team is solid. They're great people who have been there, done that. They've done it before, and they've done it with success, and maybe had some failures too, but they know what needs to be done. That's who I invest in, is the skilled top management team. You can have a lot of people surrounding you. You can certainly have a CEO, CFO, traditional relationship, a VP of sales, a VP of marketing, etc., etc. But here's a word of caution. With a small startup growth company, don't get too top heavy. Don't have too many C's and not enough worker B's. Get it? CB? Thought you would. So the idea here is to surround yourself with talent, with good people who you can count on to do the work when you're not there, to do the work in your absence, certainly, to do the work that needs to be done, and most of all, to impress investors that you have a group that knows how to get it done. That's what they're going to look for. So key management team personnel could be a chief scientific officer, chief technology officer, chief financial officer, but could also be VP of sales, VP of marketing, as we've said, on down the line. Just people in skilled positions where the work needs to be done and you know they will do it. They can do it, and they will impress that on others. One of the things that will come up when you do that is compensation. Let's face it, if work was fun, it wouldn't be called work, it would be called fun. And it's not, and you expect to get compensated for it. Typically, early stage founders and early stage management team personnel expect to own a piece of the company. They expect stock options or stock grants, some sort of skin in the game where not only are they out for the best wishes of the company, but they're also out for the best wishes for themselves because they want the stock to be worth more. They have a foot in the door, so they will that much more want you to succeed. And if you put investing options over a 5-year minimum period, that their options invest 20, 40, 60, 80, 100%, they're less likely to leave as well. But stick with the game to make the company grow and to make their options and yours, their stock and yours, worth something. So what are the common mistakes that are made in hiring management personnel? Let's take a sidebar here and talk about the hiring process. We've mentioned it before, but now we're going to get serious about it. Too often when people interview management candidates, they feel a need to be their bud. They feel a need to get together and camaraderie, love for each other, hanging out, understanding what are your hobbies and interests. Oh, you like snowboarding? So do I. Yada, yada, yada. They don't stick to the main facet of the problem. Can you do the job? Have you done it before? Give me some examples of how you handle problems. And even more important, give me some examples on how you handle people. People are your biggest asset in business. They're also, without fail, your biggest cost. Labor is always high on the budget line. It's a big item because you have to compensate good people in a good fashion, or they will not stay with you and will not do a good job. I can't tell you how many times I've heard the old adage, you get what you pay for. And that certainly is true in people. So you want people who can do the job. What are the big mistakes? One, like I said, is trying to just do a friendly interview of let's see if we get along and we're cool with each other. Second to that is placing unqualified friends in key management positions. know I promised Bob when we were fraternity brothers back at Tappakeganida that he was going to be rich someday and I was going to make him rich. So I'm going to put Bob in as VP of sales. Never mind that Bob's lived in his parents' basement since he graduated and played on his PlayStation, and he is the world champion in Masters of Dungeons and Doom. Let's look at Bob's qualification for sales first. So placing unqualified friends in key management positions can kill your company and certainly end the friendship. Another key mistake is assuming that someone's previous success in a different industry will translate over to the industry you're in. I've started a very successful app business. I'm really good at IT. So I'm going to hire my friend who is a proven sales executive in consumer product goods to come in and sell this highly technical IT service. Wrong. That's not going to work. Just because you're successful in one field doesn't necessarily lend to success in something else. Another big error in hiring people is presenting a one-person team philosophy. I'm the boss here. I make all the decisions. I determine the company's strategy and growth. I'm hiring you for this key higher level management position, but I want to make it clear up front, I'm the one that does all the thinking around here. Not a good idea. You're not building teamwork. You're not helping people in their efforts to work together to grow the company the way it should. Another mistake is hiring key people and top managers without providing some compensation from the firm. Ownership. People get involved in startups because they are excited, because they do have the entrepreneurial spirit, but also, to sum it up in one easy word for you, stock. People want to get involved with a startup so they own a piece of the action. They want to make good money and do a good job, but they also want a big reward at the end of the rainbow, typically giving them some sort of founder stock, a founder stock agreement, which we will post for you here on Startup U so you have a sample to go to. That's what startup executives are looking for, is ownership. As well, people don't like surprises in general. Yeah, I know what you're thinking, birthday parties, yada, yada, whatever. But in general, people don't like surprises. I remember when I came home from college, when I was in the doctoral program at a state university, and it was a long day. I came dragging in about 6:30 p.m., and my wife met me at the front door of our house with a good beer. I'm not talking cheap beer here like I used to have in college. I'm talking Heineken, top of the shelf, good stuff. My first thought was, thanks for the beer, which car did you wreck? But nope. She said, I've got a bigger surprise than that, but not until after you've had a seat. I'm expecting you're out of school. Yeah, that was a surprise, and it was a good one. I appreciate it, but it was an unexpected surprise. People don't like those in companies. Disclose skill gaps up front. Jim, we're going to hire you. Susan, we're going to bring you in. Rebecca, we'd love to have you as part of the team, but I want to let you know up front, we really don't have a sales structure yet. We don't have a sales organization. We have a skills gap in there. The last thing that I would caution you with is vague or unclear plans for filling those skill or competency gaps. Like, well, Mark, what are you going to do about your issues with sales? Well, I don't know, but we'll figure it out, is never a good answer. Well, I'm not sure. I don't have a clear strategy on that. I don't know much about sales. That may be the honest truth, but it's better to phrase it as, I could use your help in filling that skill gap and hiring someone of a high competency level to move us ahead. Be honest up front. Tell your employees what's going on and how they can help you. No secrets, no surprises, the real deal. Let's go back to the board of directors. Typically, most companies start off as a sole proprietorship or a limited liability corporation. That means they don't really have a formal structure. They have an informal structure, so to speak. It may not need a board of directors, just a couple of mentors or advisors or people that can help them make the right connections. But when you incorporate, when you become an S Corp or a C Corp, you will need, in most states, by law, if not all states, a board of directors that has fiduciary responsibility. That means an obligation to the shareholders to provide a return on investment and at the least a well-run, by-the-book corporation. You should pick your directors carefully. You know, it's always great to say, hey, I have Warren Buffett on my board of directors or Bill Gates. However, I've heard that Warren and Bill are pretty busy and they don't really have the time to give you on your board of directors. Pick people you know and can trust. Pick people who know what they're doing. Pick people who can give you advice, connections, directions, strategy, and access, as we've said, to the right candidates for management or direction. Now, you may have a small fiduciary board of directors. I would recommend that you have somewhere between 5 and 9. After that, it gets a little unwieldy to get a board of 37 people together on the same date. You may also have an advisory board. An advisory board does not have fiduciary responsibility. They are there to provide mentoring, counsel, advisement, direction, and basically access to other professionals who can give you advice perhaps on your product or service, on your strategies, on the overall direction of the company. They're people you call for advice. Board members are people who watch the company to make sure how it's being run. So advisory board, board of directors, and then the right people in the right management structure. Next, we're going to talk about human resources, how to interview, how to find people, how to make sure they're the right people for you and your company here at Startup U. A key consideration when you're hiring people is the hiring process. Typically, this involves a screening interview, and then if the individual passes the screening interview, then they get to come in and meet the team or talk to the team separately or together. I've participated in lots of gang interviews where 8 people are interviewing me at once and flinging questions at me. I participated in day-long marathons of starting at 8 o'clock, and every 30 minutes I have a different interviewee. Even during lunch, drove me crazy. Even over a period of 3 days, interview after interview after interview. I find 3 key things that pop up all the time. Number 1 is, for the most part, everybody asks the same type of questions. They want to know, can you do the job and are you a good fit with the company? However, the fit part gets individualized. I get asked a lot of questions. Some of them, as we've mentioned here before on Startup U, are a little out of reason, such as, if you were a superhero, who would you be and why? You know, how many golf balls can fit in a school bus, an average size school bus? What was your best MacGyver moment? When did you realize, at what instant, that you were the right person for this job, and why? So, you get asked a lot of individual things for fit. Are you a fit with a company? Do people like you? Are you an introvert? Are you an extrovert? You may have to take a profile. I'm an ENTJ, by the way. That's never got me a dollar raise or done anything, but somewhere along my lifeline, somebody wanted to know that. Certainly lots of books, self-help books, have been written on interviewing, selecting, finding out. I've mentioned before that affability in a small company is more important than ability. That remains true, I think, always. If you have 1,000 employees and you have one person that's just not a good fit and is a jerk, but is very talented, for the most part, the other 999 people can ignore them and let them sit in the corner and do their thing. However, when you have 10 employees and one of them's a jerk, it affects everybody. Everybody is put off kilter, everybody is put off, period, and it doesn't work almost 99 times out of 100, even if the person is really skilled at their job. So how do you screen people? How do you find the right person? Well, first, again, have more than one person interview them. Now, I know you're the next Steve Jobs, whatever, but regardless, it's always good to get somebody else's opinion. You know, medicine is a squeaky wheel business, and I don't know why most people don't understand this. You don't feel well, you go to the doctor, you wait in the waiting room for 20 minutes, then you sit in the back freezing with a gown on for another 20 minutes, and then the doctor walks in and says, "Mark, how do you feel?" And I go, "Pretty good, doc." Why am I in there? Why am I being seen? No, I'm near death. I have this hangnail, it's killing me. You got to do something about it. I am dying. Fix me. It's a squeaky wheel business. It's how it works. Secondarily to that, people come in and they say, "Well, I really don't feel well." Well, on a scale of 0 to 10, what pain level are you? I don't know, 3 or 4. Oh, it's not so bad. No, you're dying. It's an 11. Help me, help me, help me. Same deal with people. Why do you want this job? Well, I don't know. I need a way to buy more video games. Or it looked like a cool job, man. Or I heard you have free lunch on Thursdays. No, that's not what you want to hear. You want to hear enthusiasm. And you need to have someone else gauge that enthusiasm. Are they putting you on, or are they that way all the time with everybody? Absolutely, I want this job, I need to have it. Second, if it's someone that has a specialized skill that you need, again, I realize you're the greatest programmer, coder in the universe, but you need to find out from someone else, do they agree? Is this person at the skill level you really need and you're going to expect now and in the future? So if you do have more than one person interview, the next thing you need to do is standardize the questions. They need to be very close. Why? You don't want to gauge one candidate on one set of questions and answers and another candidate on a totally different set of questions and answers. Plus, it's really not only not fair to them, it's not fair to you. You need a bar over which each applicant needs to be able to jump so that you know that they can all hit that bar, that they can all clear it, and they're the right people for you to consider so you can get even more detailed and specific to find that perfect fit for your company. So standardize the questions. Leave room some for personalized interviewing. One person may ask something totally different from the other. I would recommend you not start off the interview by asking them if they speak Klingon or something, as we've talked about before, start off with some general questions about themselves and their work history, and then work into the specifics of the job. Ask things that there's not necessarily a right or wrong answer to. You know, you need some creativity. You need some entrepreneurial spirit. You need people who are excited about the opportunity. What excites you most about this opportunity is not a black and white question. It's not a yes or no question. It's not a this or that question. It's a creative question for me to tell you why I think you have a great company that's worth working for. So all that needs to fit together. So be sure to standardize your interview questions so every person on the interview team gets the same answers to the same questions and they match up well. Something's a little off if one of them asks the individual, you know, what was your best job experience? And the next person asks the same questions and they get two totally different answers. It's good to have standard questions so that you have an expectation of what should the answer be and how much in common should it be among the interviewers. Certainly, last but not least, is asking things that are illegal, unethical, or both. I have been asked on a job interview, so Mark, are you like married or have a partner or whatever? That's not really legal to ask. So you don't have any kids, do you? That's not legal to ask. Do you ever suffer from like headaches or migraines or anything, or like cancer? That's not legal to ask. Do you have a particular religious belief? We like to know that around here. Why? Why do you need to know that as a qualification for me to work with you? I think, some of the weirder questions I've been asked is what sign I am on the zodiac. That was popular. What is a secret about you that no one knows, but you're going to tell me right now? No, I'm not. The secret is you're a really poor interviewer to think up questions like that. We really need somebody that's going to stay here and be dedicated. Can we make sure you're going to be here 5 years from now? And the ever popular question, which is not illegal or unethical, but it's pretty stupid, is where do you see yourself in 5 years? You know, that answer is always sticky. It's like, well, I see myself in your job. Well, I don't think so, buddy. Who are you to say that? Or, I see myself working here in the same position. Oh, well, you have no motivation to move up. You're just a slacker. Don't want to hire you. Don't do those type of things. Don't ask silly questions. And don't ask questions that are irrelevant. You're wasting the interviewee's time and yours. What's your favorite movie? Do you have a favorite show on Netflix? If a movie was made about your life, who would you want to play you? I frankly think Clint Eastwood would do a good job of me, but that's not the point. The point is you're asking questions off the point that have no value to you or the interviewee. Just to be clear, every time I've gone on a job interview in my life, and I've had several different jobs over my long career, I am interviewing you and your company as much as you are interviewing me. People ask me often when I say that, well, have you ever turned down a job that was offered to you? Oh, yes. I'm telling you, friends, I've turned down several because I've gone back home and said, I'm sure they think I'm a good fit for their company, but their company is not a good fit for me. Their culture, their direction, their strategy, their lack of qualified people in strategic positions, as we talked about earlier, make me feel that I'm not the person for that job. Maybe, but they're certainly not the company for my skill set. People will interview you. They will ask you questions. Of course, we try to coach people who interview as well, that when the interviewer finishes the interview and says, do you have any questions, Mark? And I go, well, nope, you pretty much answered them all. Not a good answer. So hopefully you will get some inquisitive, directed questions back at you from the interviewee that shows you have piqued their interest, you have good people who they've talked to, and they are really interviewing you to find out, is their company a fit for their particular skill and mindset. As an entrepreneur, you want to grow. Add the right people, do it in the right fashion, and you'll not only find money, but you'll find success. You know, I have a great cartoon in my office up with a picture of Albert Einstein pointing at people saying, get a job, and I guarantee in 2 weeks you'll come into some money. Go to work. Everybody wants to. Everybody wants to be productive and get something done. Well, most people. They want to be a part of a successful, growing, smart, directed, strategic organization, and it's your job on the interview to sell them on that. Next week at Startup U, we're going to look more at the personal side of things and get into strategic planning and direction and how to approach that.